Today, I'm going to take you on a hike with me through the Pasachoa Volcano, which starts out in this beautiful subtropical forest that you can see here, and later, as you increase in altitude, turns into what we can call Alpine tundra. Now this here in Ecuador is referred to as Paramo, and these are two very distinct biomes that are completely controlled by altitude, and it's a really incredible hike and a great biology lesson, so I hope you enjoy. I did this hike with some friends and initially didn't even plan on filming, but as I realized the habitat I was walking through, I decided that I had to share this with you guys.
So today I am hiking up Pasachoa Volcano, which is in Ecuador. This is a really cool opportunity to talk to you about how biomes and vegetation change with altitude. So right now, a little out of breath, I am in subtropical forest. You guys can see nice tall trees. We have all these incredible mosses and ferns and vines, and it's really moist in here. It's pretty cool. Not a lot of sun breaking through the canopy. And as we go higher and higher, there's going to be thinner and thinner trees, which I can talk a little bit about the mechanism of that later on. And then once we break up high on the top of the mountain, there's going to be a really dramatic biome change that we definitely have to take a look at.
A very defining feature of both tropical and subtropical forests is a really thick canopy that doesn't allow light to reach the forest floor. So you can see here, even off the path, that there's not many plants because they simply cannot grow due to a lack of light.
Okay, here we have a super cool example of epiphytes, which are plants that grow on other plants. So they don't require any kind of soil. Oh, we have a singer too. So this is a really beautiful example of all of these different plants growing along here on this tree, taking advantage of the tree itself, because in these kind of forests that are super dense, there isn't really much light that reaches the ground, so it's pretty hard to grow anywhere else. So they have evolved to grow right directly on other trees instead. Right, so we're getting a lot higher up in altitude now, and you can see that the trees have severely thinned out, and we're getting a lot more shrubs and bush-like plants instead of large trees. And we come up here, passing the tree line, entering into what we call here El Paramo, which is actually Alpine tundra. So very few trees, these big grasses, and any of the trees that are able to grow here aren't very tall. Super dramatic change in a really small window. See, if we go a little bit further, there soon will be no trees at all. This here is a really distinct alpine plant. It's a lupin. So these really purple flowers here give it away. And you can see that it's shrubby. It's got quite hard woody stems here as well. And now this is called chocho, and I actually have some here that this is the bulbous parts of the roots, and you eat it, and they're really packed full of protein and really nutritious. But these plants only grow here at super high altitudes, and they're really beautiful. Right, so here we get a little bit higher. We're almost out of the tree line. See, there's all kinds of little shrubs. Now, plants like this have these very vertical leaves, and this is actually because the sun is really strong here. So the leaves grow in this more vertical instead of horizontal, so that they don't get all of the sun rays right on the leaves to damage them, and also to help them hold in water so that they don't have too much transpiration. There's all kinds of really beautiful woody shrubs here, bright flowers. And we're almost out of the tree line, but we are officially in what we can consider alpine tundra here in the Ecuadorian Andes.
Alpine tundra looks a little bit different all around the world. Now, because here we are right on the equator, there's a year-round growing season. So even these shrubs and grasses that we find are much larger, and the whole ecosystem is a lot more lush than somewhere like in Alaska, for example, where there's a lot more strong seasonality and it's a more difficult area to live in.
Lichens are another really common plant that habitates the Alpine tundra. Now, they're not technically just a plant. What they are is a symbiotic relationship between a fungi and an algae. The fungi provides the structure, and then the algae is able to photosynthesize and give nutrients to the plant. And they can grow in all kinds of places. They're super hardy, and you'll often see them growing on other trees like this or on rocks in various places.
Even in this harsh environment, you get these really woody shrubs with tough, thick leaves to be able to withstand the wind and the cold and the harsh sun, but you get these beautiful flowers, and we actually saw various different hummingbirds feeding on the nectar from this plant here. I mentioned earlier that the Alpine tundra starts where the tree line stops. Now, there's still a lot of research going on for the exact reason why trees aren't able to grow at high altitudes, but one of the main hypotheses seems to be that they are just unable to establish here. So a little seed comes and it tries to grow, but between the wind and the cold climate, it is unable to start growing and become a full-blown tree. As well, even when trees, if it were to establish, the harsh winds usually would knock down anything that's taller than a grass or a shrub.
Okay, so we are almost at the top of the mountain. Now we're in a bunch of brush, a bunch of different grasses, and pretty much no trees can grow up here. The altitude is, I'll have to check back on that. I'll put it here on the screen. And yeah, once you get up here, a little bit lower oxygen, a little harder to breathe, but it is beautiful. You can actually see the city of Quito in behind us and all of that subtropical forest below. Pretty awesome.
The whole hike took us about 8 hours. Post-lockdowns from 2020 definitely had me a little bit out of shape, but I would definitely like to go back.
Now, a super cool thing here is if it dips down just even a little bit and you get some protection from the wind, you get trees again and forest right in the middle of the rest of the Alpine tundra. So it's like a little mini pocket of subtropical forest in here that's not very big at all. Back up there. Again, we're in the bottom. It's a good example here that the tree line is not always so straight. Way down there was the tree line. And then up over here, a bit of an indent in the hill, and you get bigger bushes and trees all the way up.
Now there's always one. As you can see here, right before we reach the top of the mountain, there is a tree. Sometimes there's a little bit of a break from the wind and a tree manages to grow and totally breaking the quote-unquote rule of the tree line.
We made it! Beautiful.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit of something and that you enjoyed it. And if you're in Ecuador, that I've convinced you to go check out the Pasachoa Volcano. If you want to learn more about Alpine tundra, go to the link in the description and go to the Wild Classroom, where you can read about the Alpine tundra in a bunch of different regions in the world and the plants and animals that live there.